I wanted to quickly touch on the 70-20-10 model. What is it and what is it not? And how
Sure.
should folks
Yeah.
be thinking about applying that model?
Yeah. I think a lot of people know about 70-20-10, but I think there are a lot of misapprehensions about 70-20-10. I always describe 70-20-10 as a framework or a reference model, which just helps expand our thinking about learning and other practices which are going to build better organizational outcomes. So I always say, if you're thinking about 70-20-10, don't get hung up on the numbers. They're just a sort of a placeholder to say, hey, vast majority of the learning that occurs through learning with others, through collaborating, sharing, networking, coaching, and so on. Learning from working, that's where most of the learning happens. And the formal learning, just because it's a smaller amount, doesn't mean it's not important. It's important, but it has its place. So I think that's the key thing. It's a different way to look at how we build capability for organizations, for teams, and for individuals. It's not a theory, it's a framework. It's not a fixed ratio, and it's not a way to keep learning in separate approaches, because it's actually integrative. Good formal learning should involve some collaborative learning and also bring in some experiential and learning from work. Most collaborative learning will maybe draw on some formal learning. So basically, it's an integrative approach. It's not the same as blended learning. Blended learning is simply taking different channels and bringing them within the formal learning bits. A lot of the early stuff I did in the 1980s and 90s around collaborative-based learning was we were using collaboration tools and getting people to share experiences and work through case studies and so on. So the way I see 70-20-10, an approach to build a culture of continuous improvement. And it's a model which helps create value. It's a tool to help refocus from learning to performance. And that's a big one, putting on our performance mindset hat rather than our learning mindset hat. It's a mindset to help learning where most of it happens. The European Centre for Education and the Labour Market, who are a group of economists, have done some research that indicated that about 96% of the time spent learning is when we're out working, not when we're sitting in classrooms or doing e-learning. And lastly, I see 70-20-10 as a lever to increase the impact of managers, of HR, of talent, and learning and development professionals. Let me just stop sharing there for a minute. 70-20-10, you start with the 70 and work out how you can exploit all that learning that occurs within work. So you can embed learning in work and extract learning from work, and then you can work backwards.